Hello everyone and welcome back to The Rundown. Once again coming at you live from SHOT Show 2022, Las Vegas, Nevada. Specifically, we are coming from the Beretta Media Zone, where we're doing live interviews with people who are impacting the 2A community in the firearms industry, and we're having a really good time. Right now, we have an individual who is a firearms trainer out of Chicago. His name is John
Haberkamp.
Haberkamp. You know, he just told me his name, and I literally missed it that fast. But anyway, sir, thank you so very much for coming on. Very much appreciate you being willing to share of your knowledge and wisdom.
It's an honor to be here, so thank you for obviously letting me come on, and I hope that you enjoy the show.
Excellent. So, all right, I got to ask. You're in Chi-Town. What is it like being a firearms instructor or dealing with being a member of the Second Amendment community in a place that is probably legitimately considered to be the firearm or murder with a firearm capital of the world?
It's
or of the United States.
Yes, it is. It's definitely intense. From the training aspect, we finally got concealed carry back in 2013-14. So that was a fight within itself, and as of late, obviously crime has gone through the roof on all aspects. Carjackings being one of our largest issues in all of Chicagoland area, and so for the training aspect, it truly is amazing to see the amount of people that are now coming out and getting the training that they need in order to obviously obtain their concealed carry license. But what's even more crazy is the amount of older individuals, and I mean 60 plus,
right,
coming out and getting trained because they don't want to be a statistic. Right. So many of them were just keeping guns in their houses now, and older men, older women, and now they're, no, I need to carry my gun.
Right. So in other words, you're seeing that as crime has gone up, demand for your services have gone up dramatically.
Exponentially.
Now, are these just people getting concealed carry permits, or is it also people who are taking handgun classes or tactical classes?
It's across the board. I mean, there are more and more people. The basic CCL class does not give you anywhere near the basis of what you need to be proficient out on the streets.
Right.
So from there, we offer advanced training. It isn't a state requirement, but it's something we know that is needed. So we do advanced trainings where, again, it takes them through shooting on the move. Because again, you have to get off the X.
Right.
A stationary target is a dead target.
Right.
And then we also offer training with tactical emergency casualty care. So certification class where stop the bleed. God forbid you get into an incident, you're hit, your child gets hit, your significant other gets hit. Seconds matter. You need to be able to stop that bleed as soon as possible.
You know, it's funny you say that. And we were talking the other night at our party. One of the things I pointed out is you have all these people who are doing the active shooter training in schools, and almost none of them in California offer any sort of emergency medical training, right? Teaching them how to do crisis medical training, teaching them how to, making sure they have the stuff they need to be able to stop a bleed.
Absolutely.
But then secondly, to even just know, okay, this is what you do, because a lot of people wind up dying and bleeding out because no one around them knows how to take care of them, how to stop it.
Yep, and that's where what's nice is we actually became an active violence instructor through AVERT.
Right.
And AVERT is actually nice because not only is it the active violence aspect, but it goes through the medical aspect of how to stop the bleed.
Right.
And so that's what makes that nice. And so then we go past that, and obviously we know a firearm is just a tool.
Right.
And we, as any construction person knows, they have multiple tools on their belt.
Right.
So then that's when we get into what we were talking about, more of the tactical, like the hand-to-hand combat, because majority of attacks happen within that contact distance. It's not from 40 feet away.
Right.
They're in close. Not always the best time to pull your firearm.
Right. Well, no, exactly. It's sometimes it can be really hard, because especially when you're sometimes in states, it's a little hard to make an argument that if they're unarmed and you're armed, if they're 40 feet away, it can be very difficult to argue self-defense.
Absolutely.
At the same time, if they're within 20 feet of you, they're maybe a second and a half away from being in position to be able to disarm you. So you need to know how to handle those situations.
Absolutely, because that's where that 21-foot rule came into play,
Right.
which is actually a concept because it's been beaten.
Right.
But it was based around law enforcement when it was first brought out, and from 21 feet away, they can get to you within 2.5 seconds.
Right.
That's quick.
Right.
That's quick.
That can be the amount of time it takes you to think, oh my gosh, I'm in danger, and then I got to draw my weapon,
Which is the OODA process.
Right. And get on target.
Yep.
And shoot and pull the trigger.
And statistically, whoever gets the first 2 shots off, statistically wins the fight.
Right.
So now you got about a half a second to do that OODA process where you observe, orient, detect, and then from there you got to get out of the holster.
Right.
And then now you got to execute those first 2 shots.
Right.
And statistically, that's usually the non-trained person is sitting at about 3.5 seconds.
Right.
Guess what? That's a second too late if they're 21 feet away.
Exactly.
Or less.
Right.
And then if you look at the statistics, majority from Jeff Gibbons, when he does, and granted some of those statistics can be skewed, not everyone reports crimes, not all police departments necessarily report those self-defense incidents. Majority of attacks happen between 9 and 15 feet. Those are the stats. So within 9 to 15 feet is where majority of those self-defense incidents happen.
Right.
So you're already less than 21 feet away.
Right.
So if they can get to you in 2.5 seconds or less at 21 feet.
Right. Well, I think that would also then brings up the importance, number one, of just situational awareness.
Yes.
The best way to win a gunfight is to not get in one.
Not be there.
To not
Don't
get
be
in
there.
one, right? When you have good situational awareness, then you are much less likely to put yourself in a position where you might be in danger.
Yep. And that's the hard part with today's, obviously, society. We see so many people that are walking around just like this the whole time, staring at their phones, and have no idea what is going on around them. And before they know it, they're crossed into an alley that they shouldn't have went in, heading into a neighborhood that they shouldn't be in, or just not paying attention to what's going on around them. Someone that's been following them for the last 3 miles as they're going home, and now they have no idea. And now they walk up to the door, and now they're pushed into their house.
Yep. Anyway, but I mean, so this is all stuff that you guys go over. It's all the sorts of that are part of the training process. So once again, and that's the thing. Good self-defense training is not just about your firearm. It's about a mentality.
Absolutely.
It's having a mentality of not being a victim.
Yep.
Being aware and having good situational awareness of what's going on.
Absolutely, and that's where we say 2 of the most important tools besides your firearm is your mindset,
right,
and de-escalation.
Yes.
A mouthpiece, being able to talk. Sometimes you just gotta swallow your pride.
It's funny. I always tell people that the people I know who have concealed carry permits, almost all of them, especially when they carry, are more likely to they're more likely to de-escalate, to try to avoid situations than they are to actually be involved or get engaged, because they know that the potential outcome is fatal. It's not like, I'm going to get in a fight and worst case scenario, I get beat up. It's, if I'm carrying a firearm, it's someone could die. And regardless, if I get to the point where I have to draw my weapon, my life is never going to be the same again. Because if I have to pull the trigger and I kill somebody, first of all, I have to deal with the fact that I injured or killed somebody. But then there's the whole legal process. Even if I did everything right.
You can do everything right, and majority of the time I tell my students, when you're getting your concealed carry license, you're not getting a license not to go to jail.
Right.
You're getting your license not to be in a box.
Right.
Now, obviously, that's where self-defense insurance companies come into play to obviously help in your legal process. But then even in our classes, we go past that. The psychological and the mental effects of being involved in a self-defense incident.
Right.
Some people I start my class and I say, who's prepared to take a life? In your mind, in your heart, and in your soul. Are you prepared to take a life? Because if you're not, this class isn't for you.
Right.
Because this is the reality of it.
Right. If you
you're
have
preparing.
to use these skills, there's a good chance you're going to have to take someone's life.
Because in Illinois, we cannot brandish a firearm at any time. If you pull your firearm, you are in fear of your life, and you need to modify their activity to
Right.
stop what they're doing.
Right.
Whatever deadly activity that they're doing. So your goal is to modify that. Then if that requires using your firearm, a lot of times that's going to be a fatal incident. And the ability to make sure that de-escalation is huge when it comes to that, because most of us don't want that.
Right. Now, do you guys do any sort of consulting or training about, okay, if you're involved in a shooting, this is what you do?
Yes.
Afterwards?
Yep. So we do that as well in our classes. Not necessarily every instructor does that, but we definitely do that.
Right.
We're huge because Illinois requires 16 hours of training in order to get your concealed carry license. 16 hours is literally just enough to get you killed.
Right.
Because literally it's, you know what I mean, a basic pistol class with Illinois laws and how to carry, types of carry, where to carry, and then you do a certification on targets,
Right.
30 rounds. And now you're walking around with a gun.
Well, like in most states, it's mostly about what the law is.
Yes, and that's what it boils down to,
Right.
is what the laws is. And so we spend 4 hours just on the laws alone.
Right.
And going through, and we'll even get into some of the what-if situations. Granted,
Right.
that can be a rabbit hole in itself. But yes, we go over types of situations. I'll even do scenarios in the class where I'm working with somebody, different students, whether it be a robbery, a carjacking. I mean, we'll go out to the parking lot, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'll simulate a carjacking in the class
Right.
just to show them how fast things can happen. So they have a better understanding, and then work with them on shoot, no shoot situations.
Right.
Because it isn't, we've heard people say, anybody walks through my door, I'm gonna blast them. You don't wanna have that mentality. You can't have that mentality.
What if it's your son who's walking through the door?
What if it's a dementia patient who
Right.
showed back up to their childhood home?
Right. Right.
Or your child stuck out in the middle of the night.
Right.
It happens. And now all of a sudden you're coming down the stairs and you didn't bring a flashlight with you. So now all of a sudden you no light, low light, coming down the stairs. You see an object, you shoot. It's your 16-year-old son who snuck out. And
Right.
I wouldn't want that on my conscience.
Well, and that's the point is say there's a difference between teaching and training. Like, you can read a book and you can be taught, you can learn things. Training is actually making it instinctual.
Yes.
And the importance of taking the classes is they help you to identify the things that you need to do. They help you develop drills that you can use repetitively
Absolutely.
in order to do it. And by the way, training doesn't just mean taking classes. You should take classes, but you should also train.
Yes.
You should practice. You
Yes.
should be in a position where the things you do are instinctual.
Absolutely. Because we push that myelination that we like to talk
Yeah.
about, where we're training those electrical synapses that tell our body what to do. Unconscious consciousness is
Right.
essentially what we're trying to get to.
Right.
To where you're unconsciously doing what you need to do without realizing that you're doing it. And so, like, most of our trainings are done outside. Indoor ranges are very nice, which is great for certain things, but they only allow you that 10 to 15 degree window. They don't want you to move.
Right.
They don't want you to rapid fire. They don't want you to draw out of a holster.
Right.
All that stuff they don't want you to do. So we do majority of our trainings on private ranges outside, to where you can get off that X, using cover and concealment, shooting on the move, working reloads if you have to, multiple target acquisitions.
Right.
Because in Chicago, they're not working in singles when they're carjacking, not working in doubles when they're carjacking. They're working in triples and quadruples. And then they're all carrying guns. So we've seen incidents where, you know what I mean, somebody's carrying a revolver with 5 shots and 3 people get out of the car.
Right.
And so draws the holster, fires out the first 2 shots, completely misses. Well, now you only got 3 rounds left.
Right.
And 3 people coming at you with a gun.
Right.
So it's one of those things, getting them to understand the training aspect, like we're talking about, getting out there and doing it. Because when you're going through those trainings, we're giving you the tactics. And then for our ranges, you can come back and train at any given point. Once you go through our programs, you can come to our ranges and train. We don't necessarily need to be there. You come out, you know the tactics, keep practicing, keep training,
Right.
running those drills, running those tactics. So that way you stay proficient.
That's nice. I wish you had that. I wish you had that in Sacramento. If folks want to come train with you or want to take one of your classes, how do they find you?
So they can find us at guardian-concepts.com. That is our website. We are on Facebook, Guardian Concepts LLC. And then from there, you can get all of our contact information. You can get our email address, you can get our phone number, and that's how you get in touch with us.
Excellent. Sir, thank you so much for all that you do for the folks out there in Chicago, and thanks for coming on the program.
I appreciate everything you guys do. It was an honor to be here, and I look forward to more in the future with you guys.
Excellent. I hope you have a fun, safe, and prosperous SHOT Show 2022.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. All right, folks, well, that's going to be it for this edition, for today, for this interview. Once again, please make sure, like, share, subscribe, encourage your friends to do the same, and tune in. We obviously got more interviews coming up. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.